Hi, this is Stephen from Own or Disown. In today's video, I am reviewing the new 2020 Acer Nitro 5, which I bought from Best Buy for $670. My system has the new 6-core, 12-thread Ryzen 5 4600H CPU, GTX 1650 graphics, one stick of 8GB of DDR4 3200 Mhz RAM, 60Hz IPS 1080p 15.6-inch display, Intel Wi-Fi 6 AX200, a 55 Wh battery, and a red backlit keyboard. The AMD model can be configured up to a Ryzen 7 4800H and a GTX 1650 Ti. So again, we are seeing the AMD models being gimped compared to the Intel versions, which go up to an RTX 2060, but maxes out with a 6-core i7-10750H CPU. The higher end SKUs should also come with a 4-zone RGB keyboard and a 144Hz 3 millisecond panel. I must say, for $670, it must be the best value laptop I have purchased. It is usual that when you buy the base model that you do make some compromises, and what you give up here is a top-notch screen. The BOE panel doesn't have the high refresh rate like the higher end models and is probably less bright, as they are usually around about 300 nits. But 273 nits on the 60Hz isn't too bad, and it's plenty bright enough to game on and do normal usage stuff. As you lower the brightness, it is a little bit less too. 50% measured 131 nits, when normally one would see about 160 nits, so bear that in mind. And I tested the battery at 40% brightness, and I did squeeze out a whopping 10 hours watching YouTube with no key lighting activated and using the power saver mode. Now, watching movies is pretty good, and I liked how it had a higher contrast than most other panels. Backlight bleed was generally good. I just had a little bit at the top of the screen. It is also good to see the webcam is still at the top. So here's the webcam. Tends to overexpose things a little bit, I would say. You know, it's fairly clear and sharp, I guess, for a 720p webcam. And this is, of course, what it sounds like. And let's put on the max fan. I think the microphone's perhaps a little bit quiet, but all in all, you know, it's not too bad. I do like the styling compared to my 2019 Nitro 5, which just had a brushed look to it. One could argue that the central Acer logo looks rather subdued, but I like it that it is more subtle. Even though it is made of plastic, the build quality is good. Now, my children use the 2019 model all the time, and I believe they do not take care of it at all, and it still looks pretty good. The Elan trackpad has a red border around it, and I actually found it fine to use. Elan has definitely stepped up their game. My keys are painted red, they are a decent size, and they have good spacing. The WASD keys and arrow keys are highlighted, and the latter are used to alter screen brightness and volume. Now, there is a separate number pad, and you have a dedicated Nitro sensor button to open up their software. I also thought the port selection was pretty good. I like that the power connector is moved around from the side, where the cable would often get in the way, and they put it towards the back. You get 3 USB-A's, a 1 USB-C, and probably my only complaint is the HDMI port, which is on the right, where your mouse hand would be, and I found that I had to adjust for that when using an external monitor. Acer have changed the cooling system as well. This time you have a more traditional design with 2 fans and 4 heatsinks rather than air being pushed through just one larger heatsink. Previously, both the CPU and the GPU shared heat pipes, but now each has a separate one, and that is cooled via the side heatsinks. The fans also look more robust. Here is Far Cry 5 with the auto fan, plus the cooler boost option activated, which increases the fan speed. The CPU is at 69 degrees and the GPU at 57 degrees. This is a refreshing change to what we normally see, where the CPU temperatures are usually in the 90s. Fan noise is 48 decibels, so not too bad, and here are the fan speeds shown in the NitroSense software. Max fan brings the CPU down to about 64 degrees and the GPU to 53. But the noise level definitely goes up at 53 decibels, and it's certainly noticeable. As you can see, the fan speed increases quite dramatically. Fortunately, it is not required, and in fact, just using the auto fan without the cooler boost at 42 decibels is perfect. As you can see, in the same game, the CPU is at 73 degrees and the GTX 1650 is at 60. Still much cooler than most other systems. So this is the setting I use for my testing, And I also show the speaker volume on the right, which is at 72 decibels. And to be fair, they are just average. So if you do use the max fans, the game audio will get drowned out. So I do advise using headphones. The chassis temperature is also pretty good. The keyboard deck didn't get hot. Running max fans, you can see how much air is moved out of the system, and autofan still does a decent job in this regard. Underneath, the plastic actually shields you well from the heat, and to be honest, at 35 degrees, it's one of the coolest I have seen. I'm also pleased to confirm that the Nitro 5 passed my latency mon test, but note that this could just be specific to the AMD model, and many Intel systems do fail this test. At this price point, I'm also very impressed to see great storage options with 2 M.2 slots and a 2.5-inch bay. And unlike many other systems, they do include the SATA cable in the box. The base model only has a 256GB drive, so I do recommend upgrading this. I also recommend adding another stick of RAM so you can run dual channel. As you can see here in Far Cry 5, you get a definite improvement in minimum frame rates, and also the averages are higher as you lower quality settings. Single channel RAM will bottleneck your system. I tested all the games using high performance mode, autofan and with dual channel RAM. I will be doing a separate video showing how the Ryzen 4600H stacks up against the i7 9750H and the new i7 10750H from Intel, so make sure you subscribe to catch that. Here is Battlefield 5 DX11 Ultra settings. Now, like in Far Cry 5, the CPU is holding at about 75 degrees at 28 watts with a great boost clock of 4000 MHz, and the 1650 is at 63 degrees. It would be interesting to see how the 4800H model gets on, because systems like the Dell G5 had to downclock to about 2500 MHz to keep cool. Here are the frame rates compared to the Aorus 5 with the same GPU but the Intel i7 9750H CPU. Both systems are pretty similar, to be honest, averaging close to 60 FPS at ultra settings. I also show the 1% lows, and the advantage here did seem to go to the Intel system, but not by much. I used the replay feature in Overwatch and measured the frame rate for the full match. The 4600H gets to about 64 degrees, which is amazing. Acer really have done a wonderful job on the Nitro 5. And compared to the new Lenovo IdeaPad Gaming 3i with the GTX 1650 and the i7 10750H CPU, the frame rates were identical. Now, if you are connecting to a 144Hz external monitor, you may want to go with high settings. I used the replay feature in PUBG, and again we see fantastic thermals, and the 4600H only needing about 17 watts to hold the 4000 MHz boost clock. Now, compared to the 9750H, you would normally need a minimum of 45 watts, so this is a testament to the great work AMD have done on these new Ryzen CPUs. Again, comparing it to the IdeaPad Gaming 3, both systems perform the same, and even at ultra settings you get above 60 FPS, and the 1% lows are fine too. Finally, here is Rainbow Six Siege, and this time I used the new inbuilt benchmark to test the frame rates. And you got the same situation here, temperatures well below 70 degrees and a 4000 MHz CPU boost clock. There literally is nothing to complain about. This time the Nitro 5 pulls ahead of the Intel-based IdeaPad Gaming 3, not by much, but it applied to all the quality settings and included the minimum frame rates too. To give you a taste on how the 4600H stacked up against the 9750H and the 10750H, I show the AMD system in red. It was comparable to the 10th gen 10750H in Cinebench R20, and it did beat out the 9750H. Now, the Intel CPUs need a higher long-term power to perform well in these tests and often require an undervolt, something the 4600H doesn't need. So how would I sum up the new 2020 Acer Nitro 5? Well, I must say, I think it is a very good machine. It runs very cool, allowing you to use the autofan with minimal noise, and it is also good that Acer gives you the option of maxing out that fan or allowing you to adjust the CPU and the GPU fans independently, which may be useful for the Intel model, or even the 4800H SKU. The GTX 1650 performs as expected when you add another stick of RAM, and the 4600H is generally faster than the Intel 9750H. Acer gives you plenty of storage options for your games and files, so for $670 I do think it is the best value laptop I have tested so far. Now remember to subscribe so you can watch more Ryzen laptop coverage and various CPU and GPU comparison videos I will be making. Thanks for watching, bye now.